Hey everybody, my name is Kyle and this is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary. Recently, Pink Floyd announced an upcoming deluxe box set celebrating the 50th anniversary of their landmark album, The Dark Side of the Moon. Fan response was swift and overwhelmingly negative. Complaints centered around three key factors. One being the incredibly high price being placed on this new box set. Two being the lack of truly new or interesting bonus materials included in this set. And three being the comparison to the 2011 deluxe box set of Dark Side of the Moon, the Immersion Box Set. In today's video, what I'd like to do is talk about what's included in this new 50-year Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon deluxe box set, and address some of those complaints about the price and about the materials that come in it. But more importantly, I'd like to focus predominantly in this video on what was in the Immersion Box Set, because that's what people are talking about the most in reaction to this. Some of you may have the Immersion Box Set, and if you do, you're very lucky. It's out of print now and very hard to get your hands on, but it was an excellent box set filled with all kinds of great bonus materials and swag items, and I'm going to show you some of those today. And I want to compare what was in the Immersion Box Set that everyone's now talking about that isn't found in the new 50-year box set. So let's get started. And to begin, let's take a look at the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon 50 Years box set so we can familiarize you with what will be offered up in this new deluxe edition. Take a look at this. All right, so here what we have is the promotional photo of all of the items in this deluxe box set. We've seen this type of thing before on so many other box sets that have come out in the past. It's a little overwhelming sometimes to see it all spread out like this. But let's walk through what all is included. So of course what you see here is the album itself, on both vinyl and CD. This is a new 2023 remastered edition of The Dark Side of the Moon that's included here. Not a remix like what we had with the Animals album last year. This is a remastered edition of the album. Now, it was remastered as recently as, again, for the Immersion Box Set 2011, so that's a great sounding CD and the vinyl as well. I'm not sure what benefit there is to another remastering here as recently as 2023, but that is what's included in the set, is a new mastering of the album, Dark Side of the Moon. Also included, as you see here with the white gatefold jackets for both CD and vinyl, is the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon performed live in 1974 at the Wembley Empire Pool in London. Now, here's the thing. This is the same performance that you're going to see here shortly in this video that was included on CD in the Immersion Box Set. So it is previously officially released, but only on CD in that box set. So the vinyl edition that you see here, that is the first time that this live performance has been officially released by Pink Floyd. There has been some question as to whether or not this has been remastered in any way, and I've compared the credits for the new box set to the credits from the Immersion Box Set, and they are identical. So I do believe that what you're going to hear on the Wembley live performance will be identical to what you have already from the Immersion Box Set, if you own that. All right, taking a look at some of the other discs that are included here. You see right in the middle, there's a DVD, a disc labeled Atmos, and a disc labeled Blu-ray. First of all, let's talk about the Blu-ray disc. The Blu-ray disc includes the original album in 5.1 surround sound, as well as the high-resolution stereo mix of that. So again, that's similar to what was also available in the Immersion Box Set, but this is the 2023 version of that. There is a second Blu-ray disc there, that's the one that's in the middle, that has the Atmos mix. So this is new, Dolby Atmos surround sound or expanded sound. I'm not sure why that is included on a second disc when all of that content could have easily fit onto a single Blu-ray disc. But of course, more discs can justify higher prices, I suppose. So that's really not a shocker to me. Then you have the DVD there. The DVD has, similar to the original Blu-ray disc that I mentioned, it has the 5.1 surround sound mix and stereo mix as well. So the DVD largely is going to be duplicating the content that you have on the first Blu-ray audio disc. Please note there is no video content on any of the Blu-ray or DVD discs. It is audio content only. Also note that the Wembley show is not listed as being included on any of those discs, so you don't appear to be getting a high-res version of that in this set. All right. Let's move on now to some of the swag items, and I'll start with one that's kind of swag but kind of not, and that's what you see over here. There are two 7-inch singles that are included in this set. They're kind of treated as if it was swag, but what these are is they are replicas of the singles for Money, backed with Any Color You Like, and Us and Them, backed with Time. So 4 of the songs from Dark Side of the Moon there represented on 45 singles. So that's kind of cool. On the Harvest label there as well, but not really very interesting artwork on those. So that's another swag item that's included. Also included, what you see kind of laid out in the background, are posters. To the right, next to the Dark Side of the Moon, you see the poster and sticker sets that came packaged with the original Dark Side of the Moon vinyl release. They're going to be reproduced for this box set. And then over on the left, you see these new posters or featuring some classic artwork that are going to be released as part of the Wembley vinyl edition. All right. Moving on to some of the other swag items that we have here. There's a variety of things, and one of the things there's been a lot of people talking about is the 160-page hardcover book. You see that kind of spread open here on the left with rare black and white photographs from the 1972 to 1975 tours of the UK and US. That is apparently also available separately. So that's one item that you don't necessarily have to buy in the box set. You can buy that on its own. So that's good news for people who can't afford the big box. Also included in this set is a 76-page music book. What they're describing as a complete songbook of the original album. Looking at this photo, I'm not 100% sure which of these items that is. I think it's this one right here, but I could be wrong. So not sure exactly what that is, if it's like a sheet music thing or a lyric book. That remains to be seen. Also, replica of a pamphlet and invitation to the preview of the Dark Side of the Moon at the London Planetarium in February of 1973. Again, I think that these items right here are what are being referred to as the replica of the program and invitation for that event. So those are also included in the box set. So there you go. That is all of the goodies that you're gonna get with the new Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon 50 Years Deluxe Box Set Edition. All right, so a couple more notes about the 50 Years materials that I want to make sure to point out. I said that the book is available separately, but also there's a couple more items that are going to be available separately so that you don't necessarily have to pop for the entire box set. And it's both a individual CD or individual LP edition of the Wembley concert. So you will be able to buy those separately on either vinyl or CD, but surprisingly, there will not be a separate release of the new 2023 remastered edition of the core Dark Side of the Moon album. The previous edition of Dark Side of the Moon, the 2011 remix, of course, is widely available on both CD and vinyl. So you can find that anywhere that you want. And like I said, I'm not sure that there's going to be a dramatic difference between the 2011 version and the 2023 version. An awful lot of people have looked at these sets and said, you know what, I'm perfectly happy with the 2011 version that I have. I don't need to spend a chunk of money to get that box set. And finally, let's talk about that chunk of money. The list price for this thing in the United States is $300. $300. And a lot of people have pointed out that's nearly 3 times as much as the Dark Side of the Moon Immersion Edition cost when it came out in 2011. So it's a big chunk of change for, you know, a questionable amount of content, and the value is really what a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads on. So let's take a look at the immersion set for the Dark Side of the Moon, because as a point of comparison, I think it's very important for you to kind of see in an apples to apples way what people got in 2011 with that set versus what's being offered up here in 2023. All right, so Here it is, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, the Immersion Edition box set from 2011. There was actually 3 Immersion box sets that came out. We've been talking a lot about the Dark Side of the Moon, but I should also point out that additionally available, of course, was the Wish You Were Here Immersion Edition box set, as well as Pink Floyd The Wall Immersion Edition. All 3 of these came out within the span of a year of each other, so it was a very expensive time to be a Pink Floyd fan, but also very rewarding because there was a ton of great stuff in all 3 of these box sets. But let's talk specifically about the Dark Side of the Moon. I want to give you a quick rundown of everything that came in this set, the music as well as the swag items, and I'll do a deeper dive into what came on all of those, the discs that came with this after we do that quick run through. So let's dive into this. So Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Immersion Edition box set. First, let's talk about the discs because that's the main thing that everybody's going to be buying them for. This one came with 6 discs of material, and 4 of them were kind of situated in the bottom of the box here. I've never been a fan of this type of thing. I'd always rather have individual disc sleeves for all the discs that come in any box set that I receive. So it's a little bit annoying that they were packaged this way. But what you do have here is the original album on one CD. You have another CD of the Wembley concert that we mentioned. You also have the DVD audio here with all the surround sound mixes. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then there is a video disc here as well, video content, unlike the 50-year edition. Again, we'll talk more about what comes in that momentarily. There are 2 more discs that came in their own sleeves. I'm not sure why these 2 get their own sleeves and the other 4 discs I just showed you do not. But what you have here is another CD. There's some an early mix by Alan Parsons of the entire album, as well as some demos, live tracks, and for bonus material. So some cool stuff here. And then this one is the Blu-ray disc that has all of the surround sound content as well as some video content. There's a documentary here. The screen films are included on this as well. So lots of great material across all 6 discs that come in this set. All right, let's move on to the books that come with the set. There are several books and booklets. First of all, the most basic thing I'm going to show you here is this is the album credits for the box set as well as the core album itself. And this is where I mentioned earlier, I checked the credits on the Wembley show, and what you see in the 2011 booklet here for the credits for the Wembley show are exactly the same for what we're seeing now listed for the new 2023 box set, which makes me think that is not remastered. It's the same as what's included here. So there's that, the credits booklet that comes with it. There's also this nice little booklet here that has a little bit of duplication of some of those credits. I'll show you some of the content that's in here. There's listings of what's on all of the CDs. Some lyrics and things like that. This is all kind of to be expected, as well as some of the graphics from the album that are included here. Lots of cool photography. My guess is that you're going to see a number of these items reproduced in the new 50-year box set, but it's too soon to tell. The posters, for example, used some of that artwork. So lots of beautiful stuff in here. Now, in addition to that, we also have a photography booklet that captures Pink Floyd on tour during this time period. This is also going to be, you've got the same photographer listed on the cover of this that we see is going to have their photography in the new 160-page hardcover book that's coming out. So I imagine there's going to be some duplication in this. Again, I'll just flip through a little of it for you right now so that you can kind of see, the type of things that we're talking about here. There's quite a bit of photography that's in this book, and if you remember looking at the page spread that was shown for the 160-page book, it only showed 1 picture per page, and here what we've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 images here across 2 pages. I'm not sure what format all the pages in that 160-page book are going to take, but I'm sure it's going to duplicate practically everything that's included in this photo book that came with the Immersion box set. All right, let's keep going with the swag items here, and the first thing I'm going to show you is an art print. I think we actually saw this in one of the books as well, but suitable for framing, I suppose. An interesting take on the Dark Side of the Moon cover art there. All right, in addition to that, there were a couple of envelopes of swag items that I'm going to show you now. First of all, we have the collector cards, and this is what those look like. Again, there's some artwork here that you may have seen in other materials. I'll just put them out so you can kind of see what all was included there. That one is very familiar to people from the Wish You Were Here session, so it's interesting that they've included that with a Dark Side of the Moon package, but nevertheless, that is part of the swag package that was included with that. This envelope, labeled memorabilia, surprisingly only contains 2 little items. We have a backstage pass and then also a ticket stub to the Rainbow Theater. So not a heck of a lot going on there as far as the memorabilia sort of stuff goes, but if that stuff's important to you, I don't know, your mileage may vary. This is one that I kind of like. This is called Questions for Assorted Lunatics. And what this is that it's a replica of the handwritten questions that Roger Waters was using during the recording of Dark Side of the Moon for people that you hear on the album that are answering those questions in the backside, like when the guy says there is no Dark Side of the Moon really, as a matter of fact, it's all dark. The questions here were the things that people were reacting to at the beginning of the album and the voices that you hear near the end of the album and a couple times throughout. So Questions for Assorted Lunatics is what that one's called. All right, let's move on to a few of the more unusual swag items that were included with the Immersion set. And I will note that what I'm going to show you here is the ones that were included with the Dark Side of the Moon set, but there were similar versions of all of these things that were variations of them included in the Wish You Were Here and the Wall sets as well, starting with a set of 9 cardboard coasters. So I'll just kind of set them out here so you can see. They've got the lettering on one side, pink, and I think you already know where this is going. Floyd. Here they all are like that, and you'll notice as you flip them over that there's various bits of Floyd-related artwork on either side of those coasters. Perfect for anyone's home bar situation, I suppose. All right, in addition to the coasters, we have another very curious swag item, and that is a scarf. Again, there was a scarf included in all 3 of the box sets. This is the one that felt like it made a lot more sense than the other ones as far as the artwork, but you have the heartbeat pattern from the gatefold on the Dark Side of the Moon album. Never worn this thing out publicly, but I will tell you that I do have actually all 3 of these scarves hanging here on the other side of the music room, so this is actually on display here for anybody that comes in to see. Now, the last swag thing that I want to share with you is probably the most notorious one, and it's one that's been mentioned quite a bit with the announcement of the new 50 Years box set. The joke that a lot of people have made is Pink Floyd lost their marbles. Well, this is what they're referring to. Each of the Immersion box sets also included a set of 3 marbles themed around the album. And so what you can see here is all 3 of these with the Dark Side of the Moon cover art on them, on these glass marbles. I'm not 100% sure where the idea came from that all of these box sets should include something so unusual as a set of marbles, but there you go. Pink Floyd has, just like I did, lost their marbles with the 50-year box sets. You're not getting anything like this included in that. All right, let's circle back to the good stuff, to the stuff that I think you're probably most interested in, and that's the contents of the discs that are included in the box set. This is the marketing sheet that comes attached to the Immersion box before you take the plastic wrapper off, and I've kept a hold of it so that we can take a look at it here today. What I'll do is I'll go through the track list very quickly for all of the discs that were included here in the Immersion set, make some comments about what is and what is not duplicated over into the 50-year box set. Spoiler alert, most of this stuff is not in the 50-year box set. So, disc 1 is the original album. This is the 2011 remastered version of Dark Side of the Moon as opposed to the 2023 version that you're going to get in the 50-year set. Disc 2 is Dark Side of the Moon live at Wembley 1974. Now, like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure that what you get in the Immersion set here is identical to the version that you're going to find in the upcoming Dark Side of the Moon 50 Years set. I see nothing to indicate that that's been changed in any way or remastered in any way. I believe it's the exact same disc as what we have in the Immersion set. Something that's important to note about that, though, is that this Live at Wembley 1974 performance, it included more than just the Dark Side of the Moon. It also included an early version of Shine On You, Crazy Diamond, a couple of early versions of tracks from the Animals album, and it also included a performance of Echoes. All of those performances have been officially released by Pink Floyd in other box sets. The Wish You Were Here box set, one of the bonus discs in that, includes that early version of Shine On You, Crazy Diamond, and the Animals tracks, and the Pink Floyd The Early Years mega box set, one of the discs in that includes the performance of Echoes from the 1974 Wembley concert. So why it would be that Pink Floyd wouldn't just put the entire concert, the complete show, out on, say, a 2 CD set or a 4 LP set, that's just mind-boggling that they wouldn't do that at this point, considering the fact that all of the performances from that show have been officially released previously. This is a tremendous missed opportunity. All right, let's move on to disc 3. It's the DVD audio disc. This has the multi-channel mixes of Dark Side of the Moon. You have the 5.1 surround sound mix, you have the 4.0 quad mix from 1973, as well as stereo mixes of the album, all in higher resolution audio on the DVD. The disc 4 is also a DVD, and this is the video disc. So here, what you have is you have some live concert performances from that era, including Careful With That Axe, Eugene, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. You also have the Dark Side of the Moon documentary from 2003. It's about a half-hour-long documentary there. You get the concert screen films. These are the animated films that you see in the background during the shows when Pink Floyd's playing on the big circular screen. And some additional live footage there as well. Disc 5 is the Blu-ray disc, and that disc actually includes everything that I've just mentioned to you from the 2 DVDs. They both fit onto a single Blu-ray disc, so all of that video and audio content is duplicated on the Blu-ray disc. Finally, disc 6, we're going back to CD now, and this is one of the coolest things in this entire collection because this is where the bonus audio comes in. So first of all, you get the entire Dark Side of the Moon album in an early mix, one of Alan Parsons' early mixes from 1972, which is super cool to hear. Then you also get some bonus tracks, like an abandoned track from their Household Objects sessions. It's called The Hard Way. You'll find that on here. You'll also find demos of Us and Them with Richard Wright, and Money by Roger Waters, as well as early recordings of tracks that would evolve into the songs that you know from Dark Side of the Moon, but originally called the Travel Sequence, the Mortality Sequence. Those are included on this disc as well. None of that stuff on this bonus disc, on this CD with bonus tracks, none of that is duplicated in the 50 Years box set. So once again, what a tremendous missed opportunity, especially at the price that they're charging for that. You would have thought they could have included a little bit more of the material that was on the Immersion set back in 2011. Now, I mentioned this earlier. This is the Pink Floyd The Early Years mega box set. This came out probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it's easily one of the crown jewels of my music collection, let alone my Pink Floyd collection. Monster box set covering the material from 1965 to 1972, so leading right up to Dark Side of the Moon. It's really such a tremendous set with, I think there's at least half a dozen CDs, and then, I think as many as 10 DVDs and Blu-rays inside of here with all the video content and surround sound content. I mean, it really is tremendous. And it's a great demonstration of what could have been. Once again, the Immersion set that we've been looking at today for Dark Side of the Moon is such an incredible set, and this was too. Of course, they also followed a couple years ago with a Later Years box set. I don't happen to have that in my collection, but this and the 3 Immersion sets that I have were all such tremendous collections of music, and a really good value for the money. I looked it up, and when I bought this set, I actually bought it about 6 months after it officially came out. I believe it listed for somewhere close to $500 when it first came out, and I bought it about 6 months later and managed to get it on sale for about $260. $260 for this giant box, and that's still less money than the new Pink Floyd 50 Years box set that includes far less material than what you're going to find in this. Here's something that's super frustrating about that. I bought this big box set. I bought all 3 of the Immersion box sets. I am exactly the type of fan that they should be appealing to buy the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon 50 Years set. And I'm not intrigued by it. So they're clearly doing something wrong if I'm willing to jump for this and the Immersions, and they're leaving me cold when it comes to the new sets. Here's another example of that. The new Dark Side of the Moon set, as I showed you earlier, comes with 2 replica 7-inch singles. The early years set came with 7-inch singles as well. In fact, it came with 5 of them. Take a look at these. You know, we've got the Columbia graphics here. Here's apples and oranges with some really cool artwork on it. See Emily Play. I mean, it's really just night and day, the difference in what you're getting when they actually try to put together a quality product that the fans are really going to be interested in. So obviously, I'm pretty disappointed in what's being offered to us from Dark Side of the Moon. I know a lot of you are as well. So there you go. We've done a bit of a deep dive comparison between the Immersion set of Dark Side of the Moon from 2011 and the new 2023 Dark Side of the Moon 50 Years box set that's coming out in March. I think there's just no question at all which of these 2 sets provides the greatest level of value and which set provides the most impressive collection of music and video. It's the Immersion set, and if you can get your hands on one of these, I think that that's your best bet. If you've got one now, I don't see any reason why you would need to purchase the 50-year set in addition to that. That's my opinion on that topic. Now I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about what Pink Floyd's doing with Dark Side of the Moon for its 50th anniversary? Are you going to go out and get the new 50-year box set? Are you going to pick up the book or the CD or vinyl individually? Do you think that at $300, the 50-year set provides adequate value to you as a fan? Or if you've got the original Immersion set, are you perfectly content to stick with that? Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Once again, my name's Kyle, and this has been Track by Track. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Plus, check out some of these other videos below that I think you might also enjoy. And of course, be sure to subscribe, because true music fans always want new releases the day they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.